StreamYard. There we go. And we are live. Hello out there, Atlanta sports fans. But tonight we are not talking sports. We are talking Marvel, and specifically the first two episodes of the Daredevil Born Again series. I'm here with my guy. I think I can call him a friend. I've done enough episodes with him to call him a friend.
Of
Mr.
course.
George Burton. How you doing, man? What's going on? Oh man, Jordan, you there?
I'm doing good. I'm
Oh, you froze for a sec. You're frozen.
doing good. I think I froze. Yeah. Wait. Now I'm good.
I think
We're
you're there now.
good.
You're good. You're good.
We're
Yeah.
good.
So hey man, tonight
All
we're
right.
talking.
Um.
You.
Uh,
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead. Sorry.
you good?
Yeah, we're good. So tonight we're talking Marvel Daredevil Born Again series episode one, and one and two really. And hey man, I enjoyed it. There were some things about it I didn't like, but there are some things about it that I love. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be a gracious host. Give me your thoughts on the first episode.
I think the first episode was one of the best episodes of Marvel TV of ever.
Yeah.
I love that first episode. I rank every single episode I do, and I have a rating of zero of like 0.5 to 10. I never rate things a zero because that's not really fair for anything. Um, but I gave this a 9.5 out of 10. First episode was just fantastic. I mean, I was looking back on it, and at the only points that I really questioned, and the reason it's not a 10 is it did slow down a little bit um, towards the second half, when the second half of the episode really starts. Really, when Heather gets introduced, uh, I'm I'm gonna be one to say this. I'm just not a huge fan of Heather. Um, I mean, I think she's very forgettable. And yeah, I just don't like her. Um, I think I think Matt has had better love interests throughout. In fact, Heather may be his worst love interest. Um, uh, when she gets introduced, that's where it started to slow down a little. And also, Matt has Cherry looking into Fisk's campaign, and that's when it also started to just that section really just slowed down because you really had no need for Cherry's scene in this because, but I guess it somewhat sets up him confronting Fisk in the diner. Other than that, I mean, the first 10, 15, 20 minutes is the most heart wrenching of the entire MCU that I've ever seen.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Yes.
what do you think of episode one?
All right. So I'm going to take a step back because there may be some of our folks watching this who may not know who Daredevil is and may need a really quick crash course. So, to those of you out there who are watching, who don't know who Daredevil is a Marvel comic superhero. He is the man without fear. He was blinded as a kid, and he developed this radar-like sense. So his hearing is supernatural, so much so that he sees sound in a way. He can't see, but he can use the sound bouncing off different elements to develop this radar-like sense so he can see. Is the best way I can explain it. He is also a very prodigious fighter. Knows probably be a bajillionth belt in karate, all 15 martial arts disciplines. Extremely prodigious fighter. And Matt Murdock is a tortured soul. Now, what I did not like about this first episode, Jordan, is the fact that you kill off Foggy and you don't kill off Karen, but you send her packing, which
Mm-hmm.
essentially means that Matt is alone. And for the most part, Foggy and Karen have grounded him, right? They've been his conscience. They've been his center. And you wipe that out really as soon as the cameras start, like 5 minutes into it, you've killed Foggy. I didn't like it, but I mean, I can understand it. I can understand it. I mean, essentially what they're saying is what happens if you take these restraints or if you take the two people who are grounded or ground him the most and you move them, what then happens? And I guess the theory is born again, right? The title is born again. Born again implies that there's going to be a death, right? And not only does Foggy die, but a part of Matt dies, right? As we know, Matt's code is Matt doesn't kill if he can help it. Like if he's facing the ninjas of the hand, that's one thing because those guys aren't going to stop. But by and large, he does not kill. And because Foggy dies at Bullseye's hand, Matt says, "You know what? You gotta go," and kills him, right? Give me your thoughts on that. Give me your thoughts on Matt breaking his code. Give me your thoughts on Foggy dying. Give me your thoughts on all of that.
Well, I mean, all right. Everybody I've interacted with has said the exact same thing, that killing Foggy was just they didn't like that move. This happens in the comics. Now, anyone who's watched our streams knows how much I know about sports. I know a lot about comics and Marvel, DC, all of that. I know a lot about that. So it happens in the comics. Foggy gets revived, but they're not going to do that. If they did that, it would hurt the value of this episode. If we found out that later on Foggy was revived and he's being held somewhere, or whether that's under his own command or someone else's, I think it would just hurt the value of this episode, and maybe the season as a whole. But seeing Bullseye, oh man, I don't remember who the actor who plays Bullseye is, but I rewatched season 3 when I did my MCU rewatch over the last year, and he was one of my favorite characters that I've seen in all of the Netflix Marvel series. He was just, it was so intriguing, his story and his like ability to just make everything, like have Bullseye's powers. And he turned into this lunatic in this episode. It went right before he was thrown off the edge. Maybe we should have started this with spoiler warnings because we're going to be talking about the whole thing. But when he throws him off the building, anyone who's watched enough Daredevil, you knew what happened and what Matt did wrong in that moment. And I thought they killed off Bullseye right there. I thought they did. I guess not. And I mean, you just saw him just in his. This was the worst moment of his life, even though season 3. Yeah. I do have season 3 still a little higher than this season. But he was at the lowest point of his life in episode 1 of this season.
Yeah. I mean, no doubt about it. And I tell you what's interesting, right? I don't know why Bullseye's so mad at Matt, because if you go back to season 3, Matt tells him, look, Kingpin did this. And maybe he's pissed because he feels like Matt set him up, right? Because he essentially tells Bullseye, Kingpin killed his girlfriend. I can't remember the name of her or whatever, but killed his lady friend that was dressed as Daredevil in season 3. You'd have to go back and watch season 3. And so, he essentially dispatches Bullseye after Kingpin and then intercepts him to save Kingpin, only to send him to jail. And the last we see of Bullseye in season 3 is he's having some sort of specialized surgery in this clandestine offbeat hospital room, and we don't know if he's a member of some clandestine government agency. We don't know what it is. It's just the next time we see him, he's basically committing mass murder and going after Daredevil and everybody he loves. So I don't know why that was. Can you give me your thoughts on that? I mean, I know now, but we can't
Yeah.
say that yet. But give me your thoughts on why Bullseye would even do that if he's pissed with Kingpin. Like, give me your thought.
I mean, if you're all caught up, you kind of know already in episode 8. But when I initially watched this, I thought maybe he was just trying to get payback to. I really didn't know. I thought maybe he was trying to. I thought maybe he was trying to kill Karen or some message to Karen. I thought maybe killing Foggy would send a message to Karen to like, hey, you better look out. But it just didn't make sense in that moment. And then I thought that twisted side of him. I mean, you see right before he gets thrown off the ledge, Matt's like bawling his eyes out. They're head and head, and he's just got this smile on his face, and he pats him on the shoulder. That was one of the most twisted that I've ever seen any villain. And he didn't care. And he didn't care what happened in that moment. And it ultimately pushed Matt to push him over the edge, literally and figuratively.
Mm-hmm. So I think what's interesting about that is in the next scene we see that it's been a year, and I believe it's the day of the sentencing for Bullseye.
Mm-hmm.
And Bullseye still just does not. He has no F's to give. He doesn't give a damn. He's in the court like, "Yep, I did it." It's like, whatever. Let's get this over with, lady. And he's sentenced, and Matt gives this impassioned speech on how there's no justice because Foggy is dead, and you need to give him the maximum sentence because that's the only thing that could come close to justice, even though it's not justice. And then we see Karen. And what's interesting, right, is the fact that oftentimes when there is a unit of three, what be it man, woman, and child, be it three friends, and one dies, oftentimes this happens where two parties go their separate ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've worked in telecommunications for many years, but anyway, I was working at a company maybe 10 years ago, and I talked to this customer who said that he was a part of a charity group that would essentially help parents go through the death of a child. Because in 90% of those cases, the parents always split up because one blamed the other, right? It's just human nature. And looking at each other and just especially when it's just three and there's no more children, but the parents looking at each other every day was a reminder of the child. And not that Foggy was their child. Walk with me for a sec. But I think just
Yeah.
they were a group of three. And when Foggy went down, I think Foggy was the glue that held them together. And Matt just retreated in himself. And Karen just felt that void. And so she leaves, right? And so in one fell swoop, essentially Bullseye got rid of both Foggy and Karen, and we kind of see Matt pleading with her to, hey, don't leave. What's going on? And she gives him a piece of the mask that broke. And I think essentially in this scene, this is Karen's way of encouraging Matt to go back to Daredevil because something in him is missing. Give me your thoughts on that.
Well, I I want to say this because I'm having some family watch the original series for the first time ever, and a lot of people I just noticed a lot of people didn't like Deborah Ann Wolf's portrayal of Karen all that much. And I
Really?
think she, over time, yeah, I know a lot of people that I notice a lot of YouTubers won't say it, but I notice everybody that I have watched, they don't really care for her portrayal. And it was one of those things I got used to over time. By season 3, I enjoyed her character, her performance too. And by now in season 4, like you see her more comfortable with the character, that
Oh yeah.
this is her character. And in this first episode, even though she's not in it for a very long time, I think she does a lot more heavy hitting than I think she may have done in the whole first season. Um, she's just, and yeah, she is kind of pushing Matt. I don't know if she's necessarily pushing Matt to be Daredevil again, but I think she wants justice for Foggy, and she wants him to go after Bullseye, and Matt's just not going to do that.
Yeah.
There's going to be some other way. He's not going to kill Bullseye. At no point, if he killed Bullseye, that might be one of those things that's how the season ends. Like if
That's
by
like
episode 9
that's like Batman killing
yes,
the Joker.
exactly, and it's just not going to happen. Even though people very close to him like would want to see that happen, it's just not going to happen like that. So this scene, it's so interesting how different season 3 is to this season. And like season 3 was adapted based off of the Born Again comics,
Yes.
but very different. It was more Matt Murdock dies and Daredevil is only person. The only think of Daredevil and Matt Murdock as two different characters. Matt Murdock was basically dead underneath that rubble at the beginning of season 3, end of the Defenders, and Daredevil was the only thing living. So he went with the Daredevil persona but by the end of the season, Matt finds himself. And with this season, it's like as soon as he threw that mask over the building, he gave up Daredevil. Right. And he genuinely does not want to be Daredevil because Correct. It's something Foggy didn't want out of him. Right. But Foggy learned that this is just this is Matt. This is a part of him.
Right.
So with this scene, like Matt's kind of in a comfortable state that he's no longer Daredevil, and it's only Matt, and that's where we get into like he's got his own legal firm with I forget with Kirsten, a new character who I think has no development in the season whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, we see Matt but then there's these itches, these feelings that like that Daredevil wants to come out, and we see that in the first couple episodes.
What's interesting to me is he says, I gave up Daredevil. Mm-hmm. I think he says it twice in episode 1. He says it to Karen, and he says it to Kingpin. Mm-hmm. And Karen's response is kind of like, what? Like, why? You get what I'm saying? Like, she's almost, I don't want to say she's pissed, but she's agitated. Now, maybe it is just because she wants justice for Foggy. Let's come out and say, she probably does want him to kill Bullseye. Mm-hmm. She probably does. But I think Matt feels that Daredevil is responsible for all of this. I think that's why he initially throws that mask off, because he feels like if it was not for this, I'd have my best friend. Like, you got to understand, Foggy and Matt are like peanut butter and jelly, man. They are Batman and Robin. They are it. You know what? It's interesting. Matt by no means is rich, but the parallels between Daredevil and Batman are almost astonishing.
Oh yeah.
Um, I don't know. It's just because they both have this very rigorous code. They
Mm-hmm.
both were very damaged as children. Batman being an orphan, Matt losing his dad behind a shady boxing world, and all of that other stuff, and being orphaned. Um, but there are similarities. But the point is, when you killing Foggy to Daredevil, to me, wouldn't be like killing Robin. It would be like killing Alfred,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
right? It's the one constant in Matt's life to say, Matt, you're going too far. I don't know about this. I don't know about this." And the other thing is, like, Karen in the comics she was a heroin addict initially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was she
Yep. Yep.
not? And so her beginning, the two are different, and they are innately different, right? In the show, Karen is a witness or a whistleblower, and they're coming after her, and she's very meek, not meek but afraid, and she grows. She grows, to your point, throughout season 1, season 2, and by the time she's season 3, she's got confidence. She's got belief. She went through a lot in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but anyway, um, I think you're right. I think initially the first transformation is Matt decides, you know what, I'm not going to be Daredevil anymore, and he really tries. He really tries to work the system. Let's talk about the exchange between Kingpin and Matt Murdock in that first episode. Give me your impressions. Give me your thoughts on that. What'd you think about it? How'd you feel about it?
Oh, that was so great. Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin. I mean, I've seen people say that he's the. Oh yeah, he's so perfect, and I've seen people say that he's the best villain in all of the MCU, and I mean, I'm not going to go that far. I still think Thanos is the best.
Yeah.
And it's also very hard to compare Kingpin as a street level hero to someone like Thanos,
right?
Who's everywhere. But with Kingpin, I mean, Vincent D'Onofrio plays him in such a great way. And I mean, if you watch Vincent D'Onofrio in other projects, he's just such a different actor. He was born to play this role. It seems he just portrays it in a different light that other characters that he plays in other projects aren't the same. And same goes with a lot of actors in Daredevil. I mean, same goes with Charlie Cox's Daredevil. That's why Charlie Cox really hasn't gotten that many roles. But and I mean, a lot of people talk about each of the actors, and they just haven't really found any other characters that really bring them out. But with Vincent D'Onofrio, I mean, every time him and Charlie Cox are in a room together and they're doing a scene where it's Kingpin and Daredevil, whether that's them fighting or it's them talking like this, it's always tense. You feel everything that each of them are saying. It seemed like this scene was just to I mean, Matt goes to confront Fisk because he wants to see if there's anything more to being the mayor that he's trying to do. And I think Fisk entertains this because he wants to make sure that Matt isn't going to be Daredevil. So this is more of a trying to figure out where each other are at. And by the end of this, it's like it seems like both of them are very comfortable with where each other are at, but ultimately there's that itch that Matt has of being Daredevil, and there's that itch that Fisk has to be
Kingpin.
To be Kingpin, yeah.
Yeah. What was interesting to me is that was Kingpin's warning or Fisk's warning to Matt, and that, hey, this won't be tolerated, which to me was so hypocritical. Like the balls are like I understand. I understand when you go through things that you can transform. I get that. He says that tragedy Transformers, and that is true. That is true. But you can't be so caught up in your transformation that you forget where you've come from, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
what I didn't like about it was the righteous indignation that Fisk has really throughout this entire series. Oh, masked vigilantes won't be tolerated. Oh, they're a blight on the existence of the. Are you serious? Do you know how many cops you've killed, Wilson Fisk? And but then the more I think about it, it kind of brings to light that maybe there's a part of him that feels like I can control it, right? Because I've been a part of the underworld. Because I've run the underworld. I can do the same in New York City. But it is awfully brash and awfully arrogant and damn near the most hypocritical thing I've seen. Just the way that it ends when he's like, "That won't be tolerated." Oh, and I'm like, "What?" Like I don't know. So we go on. Matt and Heather meet thanks to is it Mackenzie or what's her
Kirsten, his partner at the firm, yeah.
So she has some sort of meeting betwixt the two, and they meet, and essentially they both have their claws out. I think the way this is written is kind of like they're both very rooted in their professions, and they really don't like engagement. They're both very guarded. At least that was my thought. Give me
Mm-hmm.
yours.
I'm just not a fan of Heather. Yeah, I agree with you. It's like they had their claws out. I think this is where maybe it's. So I want to start by saying like the development of the show is very odd because they started off by saying like, no, this isn't connected to the Netflix series. And they had filmed, this was supposed to be what, 18 episodes, something like that.
Right. Correct.
And they filmed a lot of that. And then John Bernthal's Punisher, Charlie Cox's Daredevil, and Vincent D'Onofrio were like, we don't really like the direction this is headed. And we don't really like that we're not, like, you're bringing us back and just changing us completely. Right. So they brought back the writers of the original series, which you can tell which episodes they do make and which ones they don't. They made episode 1 and episode 8 and 9, but they didn't make all the episodes in between. We'll see how it ends, but so far every episode they've done has been very good. And that there have been other episodes that are good in between that I really enjoy, but I don't think Heather was a plan for them, because it just seems like she's just there to be sort of an instigator to Daredevil, not to Matt. To Matt, she loves, but an instigator to Daredevil. And because Matt obviously has that persona in the back of his mind, right. It sort of like it irks him sometimes, and that's where they get into their arguments. But yeah, I don't think there's any reason for me to like Heather so far, and that's there's a lot of character development issues with the show. If there's one issue with this whole show, it's the side character development. Whether that's Kirsten, she has no development as his partner. Only tells him what he should and shouldn't do. Right. A literal business partner. Right. Heather, I mean, as a love interest, honestly, I don't know if I know a worse love interest in any MCU project that I can think of off the top of my head. And I mean, she just doesn't have anything. She's just connecting her plot, Daredevil, Matt, to the next part of the second half of this season,
So she's a
basically.
plot device.
Yes.
Okay.
Honestly, I think I wouldn't be shocked if she's killed off, or if she's killed off, or they say like, or she finds out that he's Daredevil, and by the end of the season, she's like moving off to some other state, and that's when Karen comes back in. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if that happens.
Yeah, I don't get ride or die vibes from Heather. I will agree with you, and I've seen it up to episode 8, like you. I don't get ride or die vibes from her. I do not. I really don't. I think if she finds out that he is Daredevil, there's a problem. And to me, this kind of lends itself into the lens of being a superhero, because you can't trust everybody. Even certain love interests, you can't trust everybody because everybody can't handle it, right? Everybody
Mm-hmm.
cannot handle it. And again, I won't get into it. I won't do spoiler alerts on future episodes, but I agree with you. I don't think Heather can handle the terrain, so to speak, or everything that comes with Daredevil and Matt Murdock. I think what I get from Heather likes Matt's weakness. Or you tell me your thoughts, because she's always like, "Oh, did you hurt yourself? Oh, did you?" And she really doesn't realize how capable Matt is. She doesn't notice these things, right? To me she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. But to me it's like she likes the vulnerability of Matt, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to really not knowing how brash and gritty this dude is. Those are my thoughts. Give me yours on that, on just the dynamics of their relationship so far.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that has to do with like she's a therapist, Matt's a lawyer. Like, I mean, she's a very strong, independent woman. Matt's a strong, independent man. Like, I think they, um, I think it's not. I don't think it's more of a. I don't know how to explain this, but like, I just, I don't think Matt is someone that she wants, and I don't know what they see in one another
Yeah,
besides like sexual tension.
right.
I don't like I the this and I mean, even up to episode 8, there's you from if I you only watched episodes 1 and 2, and you watched episodes 1 through 8, there's really no reason as to why you see them like love each other,
Right.
and it's more of just like almost like a fling.
Yeah.
Even by the end of this episode, when they're on their date and they're walking, and Matt is completely in a different headspace thinking about Fisk's mayor
Wait,
campaign.
the mayor. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and he's like, "Oh, he won," and she's like, "Oh," she's almost like, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
Like, I was
Right.
trying to put myself in her shoes. Like, if someone else was talking to me and we were just having this normal conversation, and all of a sudden someone's like, "He won," and then you're like, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
Like, imagine we're having this normal conversation, and I'm like, "Terry, he won." I mean, it's like they're in completely different mindsets. Um,
Not only that, he was nowhere near a TV.
yeah.
So he tells her, "I heard her." No, you didn't, right? And again, it goes back to, she doesn't notice anything, Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
She
Yeah.
really, I don't want to call her clueless, but she's kind of
Mm-hmm.
clueless in that when he says that, there's nothing. The only thing that could explain that is that's either a premonition, this
Mm-hmm.
dude can read minds, or this dude has super duper hearing. And she just
And
goes
he,
with him like, okay, you
yeah,
know,
and he says that he's like good hearing.
yeah, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. And they have no chemistry. That's the other thing. Like, when I look at those two, I don't feel it. I don't feel any chemistry. It feels like you
Mhm.
say, they were just thrown together. Like, hey, you need a love interest, okay. we need to advance this plot. You know what it is? It kind of reminds me of Ant-Man 2, where it was just a plot
Mm-hmm.
device to get to Infinity War. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It was just a okay. We need an excuse to go into shit. What's that? What's that
The
universe? Yeah,
quantum realm.
we need to go into the quantum realm. So Ant-Man 2. There you go. You know what I mean? And it was a plot device, and it does feel like Heather is that way because Heather, I don't get any on-screen chemistry between them. I don't. And again, a part of that is, well, Matt is grieving, right? So and Matt being Matt and Matt being guarded, he's only going to open up so much, right? It was the same thing with him and the night nurse. It was the same thing with
Mm-hmm.
him and Karen. That they bitched and moaned him out. There was this side that he kept from them. And it just it didn't work. So I don't know. Whatever. Um let's move on to the end of episode 1, right? Where Wilson Fisk is atop the city and he's looking down on Matt, which is kind of role reversal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give me your thoughts on that.
That was such a well developed scene with the music, the lighting.
Yeah.
I mean, by the end, you see half of his face with a red light on it. Incredible, like bravo to the entire team behind the camera and developing those shots because it was incredible. Just seeing their roles reversed. I mean, normally Fisk is down on the ground. He doesn't want to be seen. I mean, that was before or very early on in season 1, where he doesn't want anyone to see him. He wants to be a puppet master, basically. And now he's finally mayor, and with Matt. I mean, Matt's normally about the limelight, being a lawyer. He's been in big cases before involving Fisk, involving the Punisher, and now it's sort of like he wants to take a step back. He's no longer Daredevil, and he wants to. And it's just an incredibly shot scene. This is
Mhm.
probably this is one of my favorite shot scenes in any Marvel show ever.
No, very good scene, and I just my first impression was like up is down, up is down.
Mm-hmm.
Like Wilson Fisk is on top of the world. The last time we see him we saw him in the Echo series, but the last time we see him in the
Yeah.
Daredevil world, he's being carted off to jail, and now he's the freaking mayor, and he's looking
Mm-hmm.
down on the city, looking down on Matt, and Matt's world is turned upside down. His closest allies are no longer with him. He's alone. Uh, it's something, man. I don't know, but again, I agree. I didn't like the fact that they killed off Foggy, but I gotta say that episode was great. The fight between Daredevil and Bullseye was epic
Oh
because we really
yeah. Oh
get
yeah.
to see just what a prodigious fighter Bullseye is. A lot of people don't know this. Bullseye is a master martial artist. As a matter of fact, I believe in the Shadowland comic, he took on
Mm-hmm.
100 ninjas from the
Mm-hmm.
hand. And mind you, when you say you take on 100 ninjas, that's one thing. I mean, most ordinary people couldn't beat a ninja, but these are ninjas from the hand. Okay, they don't die, or they don't die easily. Okay, and if you take on 100 of them, you are a bad mf'er. I'm just saying. So it just the fight between them was epic, and it's almost. I'm gonna be honest with you. When Foggy dies, it's kind of like Bullseye's like, well, job's done. Not that he
Mm-hmm.
quit. Daredevil did beat him, but it's kind of like it took his will a little bit. You know what I mean? Give me your thoughts on
Mm-hmm.
that.
Well, that whole fight scene was incredible. Doing that in a one shot sequence. Well, I mean, you can see where they made some cuts in between the
Mhm.
whole fight, but I saw some people, some YouTubers, had issues with the the lighting of the scene. They said it was too dark. I thought it was completely fine. We were getting light from the street, and the entire time in the background you hear a heartbeat, and that's Foggy's heartbeat. The entire fight.
You know what? Thank you, because you just reminded me of something.
Mm-hmm.
The entire fight, Daredevil is fighting him, but he's also simultaneously listening to Foggy's heartbeat. And so, in a way, he's trying, because I know he wants to go back and help him. Or at the very, think about it. If it was your best friend dying, wouldn't you want to be by his side?
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's probably trying to wrap this up. And, Bullseye's being an ass, basically. And the fight lingers on. And it's almost like Bullseye knows. Not that he doesn't know, but I say that because when Foggy dies, it's like they both know it, right? And to your point, he just starts laughing like, okay, my job. He doesn't even fight him.
Mm-hmm.
Give me your thoughts on that. Give me your thoughts on that specifically.
I mean, the whole scene with the heartbeat, just him hearing, he knows he has to finish his fight, but he can't kill Bullseye, and he also has to go and be next to his best friend, and that's where there was so much going on, and he knew he wasn't going to be able to do one of two things.
Yeah.
And he knew if he let Bullseye go, he was going to go off and start killing more people. And he knew if he kept fighting that Foggy would, most likely die, which he did. And I mean, it was incredible work by whether that was Charlie Coxunder or stunt doubles, I don't know, but incredible work by them going throughout the place, fighting each other. I mean, Bullseye's throwing random. The funniest thing, Bullseye's one of the funniest villains because he just grabs whatever is close to him and just throws it and throws it. Some lady during the fight gets hit in the head and then falls over or by something. Like, it's just so funny. I mean, at one point, I think a pool ball got thrown.
Yeah.
It was incredible. But
he doesn't miss, so he's deadly. Yeah.
And it's also cool to see how much Daredevil's suit has been upgraded.
Yeah.
Evolved, and where like he can get stabbed by something, he's not necessarily getting stabbed. I mean, his armor's getting stabbed.
Right.
I'm not like a huge fan of this suit. I don't think I've been a huge fan of any Daredevil suit, but I really liked when he had his hands wrapped and he was with the old school look. I love, that's probably my favorite look of his. There just hasn't been one suit that looks really, like, they all look good, but there hasn't been that one great looking suit. And I also think it's because we don't have the 2Ds logo on the chest, but I mean, we might get that eventually. We might not. I mean, who knows? I follow a lot of people who see things and behind the scenes, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I also think that, look, Daredevil's not Spider-Man. Daredevil's gritty. Daredevil, he's the devil of Hell's Kitchen, but that by definition is gritty. And I think what's interesting is in the beginning of this episode, we see that they've kind of moved away from that, right? That they're experiencing some success, that they are kind of coming up in the world, right? And it's like this event just pulls Matt back, right? After that, the bar's closed. It's interesting, man. It's interesting. But let's transition to episode 2. So episode 2, we have the entrance of, White Tiger,
Mhm.
right? White Tiger's on his way home, not as White Tiger. And he sees these two cops beating up this guy, and he intervenes to say, "Hey, man, this guy's not fighting you back." They don't identify themselves as cops. A fight ensues, and one of them tries to jump at White Tiger. He moves, so to speak, and the guy jumps into an ongoing or oncoming train and is killed. And of course, White Tiger's taken into custody. Give me your thoughts on that scene and that fight, and just your take on that.
First off, I want to say I'm so sorry to those of the family for Camaro de los Reyes. That was who played White Tiger. He passed away from cancer, I believe, during production for Daredevil.
He
Um,
sure did. You're right. Thank you for that. You're right about that. I
um,
forgot about that. You're right. You're right.
uh, I don't really know if the plan was for him to be a long term character or not, because White Tiger in itself, the story is about it being passed down to
Now,
other people.
right, right.
So I don't really know I don't know if this is how they wanted White Tiger to be or not. It in my opinion, it does kind of look like this is how the character was supposed to be. So otherwise, I really liked Hector, the character. I love the setup for this episode. This is my least favorite episode so far. I give this a 7 out of 10. I feel like the end of this episode's great. The beginning of this episode's really good, and everything in between just kind of feels like a bunch of stuff that they're saying
Yeah.
and not like showing. And it's like the scene we'll get to later on with Wilson pointing to a hole and say, "Get that hole filled." Like
Get that whole
that.
thing.
That's basically the whole episode is like this happens, but we're not showing you. So yeah, that I mean, great way to open up a episode, especially if you're going to the legal side of Daredevil.
Yeah.
Having him defend White Tiger is it's a great run in the comics, and yeah, I mean, it was a great way to start this episode.
Yeah. And there were some Daredevil's been written differently, right? So the way Bendis wrote them is not the way other people have written them. But there were some authors that really focused on Daredevil, that really focused on Matt Murdock as opposed to Daredevil. And then there's some authors that focused on Daredevil as opposed to Matt Murdock. And at least in the first couple of episodes, it feels like there's this transition to just Matt trying to do it the legal way, and it focusing on just Matt the lawyer. So again, I gotta be honest. I liked every one of these. Now, again, the 2 probably wasn't the best episode, but I've enjoyed this entire ride just because I'm a big Daredevil fan,
Mm-hmm.
and because, hey man, when they deliver, they deliver.
Mm-hmm.
They deliver. I mean, and we're not going to get into it yet, but that last scene in episode 2, oh my god, oh
Mm-hmm.
man, oh man, oh man,
Mm-hmm.
even down to the primal scream, that was
Mm-hmm.
great. That was
Oh
great.
yeah.
We can't get into that yet. So, obviously, after these, the guy is thrown into the train, the cop identifies him, arrests White Tiger, brings him into the precinct. They try and beat a confession out of him. And again, the thing that I love about this show that they really key on is Matt's ability to tune out all of these stuff that's not
Mm-hmm.
important and tune in on what's really important. And he hears White Tiger taking a beating while he's talking to someone at the precinct. And he says, "You know what? I'll get back to you. And he goes in to talk to him, and he hears that he's telling the truth. He hears he's holding something back, but he hears that he's telling him the truth. Give me your thoughts on that initial interaction between Matt and White Tiger.
I do want to say, I want to go back to episode 1 real quick. You mentioned the hearing. I love the way that this show shows his ability to hear,
Yes.
like, his surroundings.
Yes.
It's something that I think is is immensely improved from the first 3 seasons on Netflix.
Yes.
And every time you're hearing every little thing, a drop of a glass, every little conversation before you actually hear what he was trying to find. It's
Right.
like you're trying to. It's the equivalent to like looking through a huge crowd trying to find your friend or your family member, and you see each individual face, and then you finally find that person you're looking for.
Right.
I mean, it is just awesome how they do it, and instead of like going immediately to what he's hearing, which is what the original show did. But yeah, this, I mean, I like how Matt's trying to help a case. I don't remember what the initial case, why he was even there, but he was brought in for one other case. I think it might have been a DUI or something like that. And of course he doesn't.
Right.
And of course, he doesn't want to get in. He doesn't care about those cases.
Right.
At the end of the day, Matt does care about those big cases. Even though the Kirsten likes those little cases because that's what puts money on the table, Matt cares about the big cases that matter most. And he hears someone clearly in distress, and he of course Matt has to say something. That's the Daredevil in him. That's like, well, we need to go save this person.
What's up, Chris? How you doing, man? We're talking Marvel and Daredevil tonight. Good to see you, Chris. You know what else is interesting? Just to take a step back, is the first scene where the mayor's talking to one of his assistants. Mm-hmm. Chris is not a Kango, it's a flat cap. Well, whatever, man. Okay, all right. Look, I wore it so that when I go back and look at this on my channel, I can distinguish between sports and Marvel. So whenever we do these Marvel shows, right? Because I'm not gonna go bald headed because I'm incredibly insecure. Whatever. Anyway, I can immediately distinguish that, right? Yep. So what's interesting is the fact that he describes the desk that he's sitting at and the mayor who sat behind it that his father respected or looked up to. And it kind of brings up the point that even though Wilson Fisk killed his dad still looms large in his life, in his mind, in his eyes. Like he saw his dad as bigger than life, right? And I honestly I think it's that way for all boys. You know, all boys at least to a certain extent. Unless your dad, well, I mean, even if your dad was a monster, there's a certain place in your mind. There's a certain point of relevance or indifference, maybe. Maybe relevance. Maybe I don't want to say maybe admiration that your father has that you just never get over, right? Because he's talking about him and just the way he talks about his dad. And with Kingpin, it's about what he doesn't say. He doesn't say, "Oh, I admired my dad. Oh, this and this and this," but he always refers to something his dad did or didn't do, or somebody his dad respected or didn't respect, and we see the influence that his dad had over his life. Give me your thoughts on that.
I mean, I love when this show references little parts of the Netflix series, especially his dad. Because those few episodes where we were learning about who Fisk is were some of my favorite. And I think he always holds a part of his dad up on this like pedestal because of, I mean, we have the cufflinks that he's
Right,
worn all the time.
right, right.
I don't even know if they've brought that back up in this season. I might have to look back at that because I mean that was I'm having someone watch the original run for the first time, so I'm seeing some episodes and those cufflinks were a very important part. And I'm just thinking back on this season of Born Again, and I don't know if they necessarily show them as like I because he used to play around with them a lot. It used to be like um like a something he would fidget with, um, and now they've kind of turned it into like he has that shaky hand. Um, but yeah, he's always kind of held a part of his dad up because he knows that without his dad, he wouldn't have had the idea of what he wants the city to be. He doesn't have that idea of power that he ultimately wants. It's some that's the ultimate thing he wants in life is power. So yeah, I think his dad was a very important part of his life. He just didn't want to see the bad parts of that, and that's why he ultimately ended up killing him because he didn't want his mom to be hurt, and he doesn't want the good people to be hurt. That's why he's such a great character because there is a part of him that a lot of people would defend and because he wants to help people, but he doesn't want to help all people. He wants to help people in his way and not and it may not even be the right way.
Yeah, yeah. In the comic, I believe when I don't know if it's in. There's a story where all of New York is in darkness, and I believe Cloak and Dagger, the one with the light, is that Cloak or Dagger? That's Dagger, right? Dagger is keeping New York lit, and in the background of this, on the street level, obviously folks have forgotten about it because this is a galactic battle. And the Kingpin kind of establishes rule, and to your point, as long as nobody got out of line with him, he protected those people. He protected the church. He protected folks, and they remembered that when he ran for mayor. But to your point, Kingpin is complex because he doesn't want to hurt just an average person. Like if the Kingpin hurts you, you either present a threat to him or you're just bad in general, right? So he truly is a walking dichotomy in that he will do some very nefarious things, but he doesn't want to do them to ordinary folks. To me, that's why he's such a phenomenal character because of the juxtaposition of good and evil within him. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
Oh yeah.
yeah. All right. But let's move on to White Tiger and Daredevil because there's this exchange where, and I don't want to say that White Tiger knows who Matt Murdock is, but it's kind of like he says, well, Daredevil's not here. And you can
Mm-hmm.
almost feel it cut Matt like, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Or at least that's what I
Mm-hmm.
thought. Give me your thoughts on that exchange.
Yeah, I mean, I just rewatched this episode too, like right before this. I knew what I was. I knew I already rewatched episode one so many times, but this episode because it's my least favorite. I gave positive reviews on every episode so far. It's just this is my least favorite, and I like. It's so interesting seeing another vigilante that is interacting with Matt. And with the Punisher, it was a little different. The Punisher, it was about the Punisher versus Daredevil. But with this, it's Matt and Hector.
Right.
Matt is ultimately defending Hector. And with Daredevil and the Punisher, it was Daredevil and Punisher sort of butting heads. So I like seeing it. I like seeing this. I like because it sort of develops where we're at with the MCU. Seeing someone like Matt, who is a lawyer but also a vigilante, defending another person who also is a vigilante.
Yeah.
I mean, in a normal case, this is probably just this is probably an open and shut case.
Right.
But because we have to bring White Tiger into this, it opens the door up to many possibilities.
Right. 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 I just think it felt like when he made that statement where, well, Daredevil is not around, it felt like that cut through Matt just a little bit. You know what I mean? Not that he was judging him, he doesn't know him. But it felt like when he made the statement, Matt was like, oh, here we go. Like, you know what I mean?
A lot of, that happens throughout the show up and there's conversations he has with people where they don't necessarily know they're Daredevil, that he's Daredevil, and he keeps defending in Daredevil he still is Daredevil even though he's not.
Specifically with Heather, like I'm not gonna lie, Heather got on my damn nerves. There's a couple of statements she made that I was like, oh my god, you need to. I think that for me, because you know what, I can't talk about it without giving it away, so I'm not gonna do it. But you know what I'm talking about. Where you take credit.
Credit. I know exactly what you're talking about.
She takes credit for something she has no business doing. No business doing, right? And she's like, and it pissed me off because I'm like, did you see the what? I rewound it like maybe because I'm old. Maybe she didn't say that. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I was thinking about the gas bill. Like I know she didn't say what I thought she just said, and yeah, Jordan, she said it. So. And she does. You said something, and she does antagonize it. She antagonizes the hell out of it as the season goes on. So yeah, you're right. You're right about that. You're right. And it almost is like she's a plot device to push him to come back. Right? Yeah. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. All right, let's get to the whole. Right. The name of the episode is Optics. And there's this part in the episode where Wilson Fisk is on his way somewhere and he comes upon where there's a manhole or sinkhole in the ground and there's a construction crew doing something else and they're waiting on permits and he gets out and he says, what do we need to do this? And the guy's, well, I got a permit. And he's like, permission granted. Fill in this hole. He's in politics, I guess the word is you have to be seen doing good, right? The Bible says do good in secret. In politics, it says you have to be seen doing good. This is him being seen doing good. Talk through this scene and what you got out of it.
I mean, maybe this is sort of, all right, I'm not big into politics myself. I honestly don't care about any of it, any politics, but with Wilson, he does need to understand that there are procedures that you have to go through in order to do things. And he thinks that he's still that guy with the power to do anything. And so he's like, we don't need to wait for this. So he just assumes power. And in this scene, it flew. Like that'll fly in this scene, but it won't fly in future scenes where you need certain people and they're not willing to do what you want. So it was interesting. I don't feel like we touched on that scene too much in this episode, and I don't think we touched on that in future episodes. But it was a pretty revealing scene to show that like he still feels like he has that power.
Yeah. It's almost like he's Kingpin playing Wilson Fisk
Yeah.
in that particular moment. Like
Yeah.
Kingpin takes over. He's like, all right, let's get this done. Let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
And he really doesn't understand the integral parts of government and how they work together.
Mm-hmm.
The integral part. Go ahead.
And you mentioned with like he being Kingpin in that moment, and that's the whole show. I mean, is parallels between Matt having a little bit of Daredevil and Kingpin and Fisk having a little bit of Kingpin.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, before the show, when they were advertising, promoting it, that's what Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio said, is that they're co-leads. And throughout the entire show, that's what it is like, it's both of them are going through the same exact thing. Mm-hmm. They're trying to hide their darker path, mm-hmm. but that darker path is itching at them.
And circumstances are pushing them towards it, right? Yeah. The thing I really love about that show is, and you're right, they are both co-stars, is we really get a chance to see into Wilson Fisk's world the way we hadn't before, mm-hmm. right? Let's talk about the affair that Vanessa has, and the fact that they go to a therapist and talk about it, and we get to see the deference that Wilson shows her, but also him trying not to be weak or be vulnerable in that moment. There's an old joke that says, "How do two porcupines mate? Very carefully," right? Mm-hmm. Because they both have tough exteriors. And you kind of see this with Wilson and his wife, because they're both powerful people. Look, she's been running the organization since he left. So she doesn't have to answer to anybody. And the dynamic of, this is who you were when I left, and now this is who you are now that I'm back. You know what I mean? And the fact that Wilson left essentially because he didn't want to be vulnerable in front of her. Like he says, I was broken and I needed to get away. And the translation of that is, I didn't want to be vulnerable in front of you, right? Mm-hmm. Talk about that exchange. Talk about that dynamic.
I do want to say, so initially, after I got done watching this episode for the first time, I wanted to look and see if people figured out if Fisk was snapped by Thanos after Infinity War. And apparently he was not. That was when he grew his empire again. Because when Vanessa says, well, you were gone, that's what I was thinking in my head, was like, oh, was he snapped away? And because that would have made a lot of sense. But it's only the time for Echo that he was gone, and because he was recovering because he got shot in the face.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like that's something that maybe any partner should be supportive of. I don't know. That felt very weird. I'm so glad they brought back the actress who played Vanessa, because I mean, the original plan was to recast her. Yeah. And I really like the idea of her getting really involved. I mean, you kind of saw it as the seasons went on, in seasons 1 through 3, that she like was starting to push her way into Fisk's operation. And now, I mean, it's great to see exactly that is happening. I mean, now she is where he was. Now that he's mayor, she needs to take control of his operations. And he doesn't want to be vulnerable in front of anyone, really, because he has that obsession with power at the end of the day. And I think both of them might hit a rough patch, because I think she's starting to like that power too. And it's sort of like how Heather and Matt are. Is like you have two powerful people that are going to butt heads, and I just don't think it's going to work. It never works. And now that Vanessa has gone from this like art dealer to now she's basically running the organization that Kingpin built.
She's almost delicate in the first season. She's almost the way they write her in the first season is she's not docile, but she's delicate.
Yes.
She gives you like debutante vibes, right?
Yep.
We go from that to like, I'm running shit now, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running it. I'm the queen, right? And you're right. The juxtaposition of just their lives is it has to be intentional, because Heather and Matt, I'm not going to say they're the same, but that dynamic is kind of the same. Of, all right, you put your gun down first, then I'll put mine. It's the same thing that we stumble into now that Wilson is back and Vanessa has been running it and is used to control, right? And there's a saying that says absolute power corrupts absolutely, or the precious. It corrupts, right? So, and you're right, it's inner, and you can see it. And I don't want to say she resents him for coming back, but we hear just a little of that. Or is it? Do you hear a little resentment in that exchange in the therapist office, or no?
I don't know if it's resentment. I think she just wants him to be by her side. It's not like, I think right now she feels like that she's supposed to be supporting him and he's not supposed to be supporting her. It's almost like a one-sided thing. And because he is mayor and he doesn't want to be involved in that, because if he was involved with that, then we're going to have huge issues where he might get canned. So, but I think she just wants him by her side, like they always were. And when he left during Echo, that hurt her. And she felt like for the first time, that she wasn't his number one priority, because for seasons 1 through 3, she was his number one priority. He was willing to give up anything for her. And finally there's a part where it's like, oh, there's finally something that he is willing to do without her.
Yeah. Let's talk about the meeting of Ben Urich's niece and Kingpin in that introduction. Now, to me, this was weird because she had to know her uncle was investigating him. And she had to have some sort of clue as to what led to her uncle's demise. And Ben Urich was the reporter that was killed in, I believe, season 1. Either season 1 or season 2 of Daredevil.
Season 1.
Yeah.
Season 1.
But let's kind of talk through that, because why she would want to like interject herself into his life, into his operation, and be on his team and give him some, information that could help him. I was a little confused. Talk to this. Give me your thoughts on this interaction and why she would even do this. Or do you think maybe she has no idea that the Kingpin was behind her uncle Ben Urich's death? Give me your thoughts on that.
Well, with Fisk, we know that he likes loyalty, and I think this is a perfect strategy for BB Urich to sort of get involved with him and then try to crumble him from the inside and show everyone who he actually is. So I I really like I liked BB's character a lot. I don't like the setup that they had with her. I think that it just feels like all right, here's a character.
Yeah, it feels
It
forced. It feels like they just
yes,
threw her in there. It feels again like a plot device, at least
yes,
with her origin. Because to your point, they didn't do any development with the characters that we don't know.
yeah,
They just,
yes,
here you go.
yeah, and I mean, but she's definitely a character that I've enjoyed. The I always forget his name. The guy who's Fisk's like the young guy whose Fisk is like right underneath him. I don't remember
His,
what he
his
does.
right, his mentee, the guy who's
Yes,
just enamored with him and just
yes.
admires him. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I think he might be the best developed new character,
Yeah,
because I mean, you start off by he's just trying to. He's not even trying to make a name for himself. He's just trying to do something that he feels is right, and what he feels is right is supporting Kingpin. And it makes total sense for BB to have that connection with him because you need a connection to get to Kingpin. So, and that's how all the episodes in the past have been. If you ever wanted to meet Kingpin, you need to connect with someone below him, and I think she's doing a very smart job of trying to crumble him from the inside.
okay, okay, that's fair. That's fair. Um, we have what I think is essentially the what am I talking about here? What am I talking about? So Matt's team goes to investigate White Tiger's wife or the guy's wife, and they find out. Well, they find a little talisman or whatever it is, or I think the mask or
Yeah.
whatever they find, it lets them know that he's White Tiger. And then there's this meeting between Matt and White Tiger, and Matt's like, "Oh, you should have told me." And he had kind of what I thought was the best quote of the episode when he's like, "In order for me to win, I need to know the things out there that would make me lose," or something like that. Which I thought that was just great. But there was that again that back and forth between he and White Tiger not knowing that he's Daredevil, and I don't want to say judgment, but kind of like, oh, you should have told me, da 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 da. And it's almost like Matt forgot, like, dude, you can't just be telling anybody. You
Mm-hmm.
can't just be like, oh, by the way, I know you're my lawyer, but I'm a vigilante. I'm White Tiger. I go out and save people against the will of the. You can't do that. And it's like Matt gets agitated with him about that. Talk through your impression of this.
I mean, I think this parallels Matt and Foggy's relationship when Foggy found out.
Yeah.
Like Foggy was that person who's like, you need to tell me these things. Like I'm your best friend, and Matt was like, didn't want to get him involved. So I think this greatly parallels that part. Because and Matt is right. He should know these things. But I'm gonna be honest. I've watched a lot of videos reacting to this, and they've brought in actual lawyers to talk about this. And there is some like morally wrong things that Matt is doing by trying to have this involve White Tiger or not. Like it really doesn't involve White Tiger. So him saying like you need to tell me these things, no, you don't. He doesn't need to tell you anything about White Tiger. If he goes and plays bingo every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, he doesn't need to tell you that. So he really doesn't need to tell him this. This is more of Daredevil wants to know, like, oh, what other vigilantes are there?
Do you think this could be more so along the lines of with the context of what's going on with Wilson Fisk going after mass vigilantes that Matt needed to know from that perspective? Because I think what he says to him is, if I can find it, the
Mhm.
prosecution definitely can. And I think he was saying he needed to know from that perspective. But give me your thoughts on that.
Oh yeah. He definitely needs to know that. I mean, by this point, I don't know. I know Wilson has mentioned. I mean, they clearly say it in the beginning of this episode. We get a Spider-Man mention. We got a Punisher mention, and then obviously Daredevil. But I mean, he makes it clear and obvious, like he doesn't want vigilantes. So yeah, I mean, I do think Matt needs to know this so that because if he knows this, that or if he knows this, then it's possible other people know this.
Okay. All right. So then there's the exchange between Wilson Fisk and the police chief, who obviously, because he's the police chief and knows about Wilson's past, in no way supports him being mayor, is going to resign and take a bunch of folks with him. And he walks into Wilson's office, and Wilson shows him a picture of, I guess, an illegitimate child that clearly his wife doesn't know about.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of falls in line. And the last thing the police chief says as he leaves his office, well, hey, be careful what you ask for. Like, okay, you got me. No, I can't retire, but I'm still not on your side. Be careful what you ask for,
Mm-hmm.
right? Give me your thoughts on that exchange, because to me, again, and it shows a dichotomy. You're Wilson Fisk. You're supposed to be running this upfront campaign, but you're still just as duplicitous as anybody else. What's the difference between you and any other dirty politician? There isn't one. Give me your thoughts on that.
I do want to say before I say that I thank the writers of this show for not just saying that Wilson got a cheesesteak from Pat's or Gino's because they say that he went to Philly to get a cheesesteak. And I'm so glad it wasn't Pat's or Gino's because Pat's and Gino's, everybody in Philly knows that they're the most overrated cheesesteak places. I don't
Really?
remember where, yeah, I mean, a lot of people, those are the places that if you're out of town and coming to Philly, then yeah, they're the hype. But if you want a really good cheesesteak, there are a lot of better places to get cheesesteaks in Philadelphia. Um,
Well, we're gonna have
but
to talk offline, my friend. I don't want you to make it up there. I'm
um,
giving out secrets. So
yeah, there's a lot of places that are better. Pat's and Gino's is overrated. And I'm sure you ask anyone from Philly that or this north or southwest eastern part of PA, they'll tell you. But I'm really glad the writers did that. I'm so happy. That made my day. But yeah, the whole scene. I'm really glad that they showed Wilson with like some head of the police department because that's not something that we got out of season 3. Even though he knew a lot, he was able to influence a lot of police officers, a lot of sergeants, a lot of people within the police department. But now we see him with the commissioner, so he has uh, he has the commissioner by the throat. And if he has the commissioner by the throat, that means he has the whole police department behind him.
yeah, that's just it was just interesting to see that exchange, man. And I think before, like, again, Wilson Fisk has always been, I don't get my hands dirty, right? Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so there's always a go between. Like, I think what I really did not like about, I understood it, but what I really did not like about season 1 of Daredevil is the fact that they killed Wesley, because Wesley, for all
Mm-hmm.
intents and purposes, was his best friend. Wesley was his dude. Wesley was
Mm-hmm.
his protector. You know what I mean? And I personally still think he's dealing with the affect of that. Like, Wilson doesn't
Mm-hmm.
trust people easily. And I know in his business you can't, but I personally think anybody who's going to be successful, you need that one person in your corner that's going to be honest with you, that's going to say, and maybe it's become his wife, that you could argue that, but he's very guarded in that regard. and you don't. I almost kind of want to say that the young kid in his organization that
Mhm.
started, that was it. I think he's going to be the new Wesley. That's the feel I get.
Mhm.
That's kind of like, because I think Wilson sees a little of that in him. But give me
Mhm.
your thoughts on that, because I really felt that in that exchange. But tell me what you think.
I completely agree with you. I mean, it just seems like, I mean, this kid just seems like he will do anything for Fisk, and if he fails Fisk and Fisk doesn't like him anymore, he'll still support him no matter what. That's
Yeah,
kind of just that feeling you get from him. And yeah, he definitely, and I think Wilson kind of trusts him. He doesn't fully trust him, but he likes his potential. And uh, with potential and with trust, you can go a long ways with Wilson Fisk.
yeah.
So I don't necessarily think that is Vanessa anymore. I think that could have been after seasons 2 and 3, but it seems like, I mean, it almost feels like Vanessa at any point could stab him in the back.
It
Um,
does. And we'll get into that in later
mhm.
episodes because it really feels that way pertaining to the relationships that she has in her organization or in Fisk's former organization now that she's been like
Yep.
it does feel that way. It really does.
Hmm.
It does.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Um all right, so let's get to it, man. Final scene, episode 2.
Mm.
The cops are coming to get the witness. Boy, they had no idea what they were walking in on. Matt gets there, says, "Hey, man, these guys are coming to get you." The witness that we're talking about is the witness that saw the exchange between White Tiger and the two cops because they were beating him up. White Tiger intervened and he ran, and he's the only one that can tell the true story.
Hmm.
And Matt gets there and says, "Hey, these cops are on their way to kill you. You need to leave." And he's like, "I don't know you. I don't trust you." And he's like, "It's already too late. They're here," because he can hear them. And so he tells them to go down the fire escape. He does. They come in there and they see this blind lawyer. And what's
Hmm.
interesting to me, right, and we'll see this later on as the season progresses, but these cops see this blind lawyer as this weak inconvenience that they can just dispatch of. And it is, being a cop, they should see the opposite, right? If they were good cops at all, they would have no part of this. But it
Hmm.
says that the fact that they are so immersed in their, I don't want to call it disease, but in their criminal mindset themselves, that they're willing to off anybody. These cops are clearly on the dark side. And
Hmm.
they get there, they ask him, "Where is he?" He says, "I don't know, he's gone." And they start to rough him up. And you know what? I'm going to let you bring us home and tell us what happens because, man, it was great.
I mean, it looks like they were gonna kill him, and finally Matt snapped. Well, I shouldn't even say Matt. Daredevil snapped.
Daredevil
We
snap.
saw Daredevil
Yeah.
in that moment. One of the most graphic scenes that we've seen in the post uh, like the Disney Plus era mind like series. It is it's so graphic, and there is a part where Matt snaps one of the police officer's arms
Elbow
right.
back. Yeah.
Oh, right at the elbow. Yeah,
Oh,
you see it. You see him immediately bleed. Then he starts throwing the other guy on against the refrigerator,
yep.
and he just goes completely nuts. And it was almost this built up energy in him for about a year since Foggy died,
Yes.
and he had this built up, and he finally just got tired of it. He got to the point where he was on the brink of death, and he was like, "Nope, I'm done," and he just snapped. It didn't matter if you were a police officer or not. And one thing during this scene, you do see some tattoos from the police officers, the Punisher logo
Mm.
which we will get to in future episodes. But he just completely snapped, and by the end of it, after he sees what he did, like you said earlier, he releases this primal scream, and you get super hyped when you're watching this. You're like, yes, this is the Daredevil that we have been missing, not just in Matt's life, but in literal life. Like, we have not seen this Daredevil since when was season 3? 2017, 2018. We haven't seen that since then, and so it was incredible to watch.
Let me tell you something, man. That scream almost made me jump because I some episodes I watch by myself because I need to let it out and I don't want to scare my wife or whatever. But let me tell you something. When he throws that dude on his head and he's just like, man, I got up and I was like, like you felt it.
Mm-hmm.
You felt it. That was for Foggy. That was for all the stuff he went through. That was for the broken relationship with not Heather but Karen. That was for everything, right? He just let that dog eat, man. He was like, all right, you about to kill me? You bet. Boy, did they walk in on the wrong day. Boy, did they pick the wrong one to walk in on. And there's a saying, they effed around and found out that day, Jordan, because he completely lost it, and I loved it. I loved the primal scream because I mean that's it. That's how most people would respond at the end of something like that. It's just like, oh my God, I just finally let it out. That was great. There were 2 episodes like that. I don't want to give it away, but there's another episode where Daredevil is really bad. And at the end of it, I was like, yes. Yes. And this is one of those. So I just think it was a great way to wrap up episode 2. And I was pumped for episode 3. Let me ask you a question. Can you come back next Saturday and we talk about episode 3 and 4?
Right. As of now, yeah. As of now, but I'll let you know if anything changes.
Okay, cool. Well, hey, let's do that. A1 man, I appreciate you joining us. And there were others, but I think you were only one in the chat. So, hey, brother Chris, we appreciate the support, man. Appreciate you joining us. And Jordan, man, I can't do anything but thank you, man. This was fun. I enjoyed it. I can't wait. So I think the plan, Jordan, was for us to do the entire Marvel universe, which is probably going to take us at least a year or 2, maybe. But hey, I'm game for it if you are. But look, next week,
I will say this though. I'm rewatching because ever since Secret Wars, Secret Wars is going to be coming out. Not Secret Wars, because they changed the title. They changed the title from Doomsday. Yeah.
Doomsday,
I was thinking of Kang Dynasty. I'm still hung up on Kang, but Doomsday, they released some of the cast of Doomsday, and it's pretty clear and obvious the X-Men, the old X-Men, are going to be in it. So I've been rewatching all the X-Men movies, and suddenly this Marvel Cinematic Universe has turned into a Marvel Cinematic Multiverse. So there's a lot more movies and shows that now we have to watch.
Well, hey, man, look it. Like I say, I'm looking forward to it, man. This was fun. This is the first of many. And I'm just excited about it. So, hey, man, tell these folks where they can find you.
Well, mostly I talk about sports at Ultegacy, ULTEGACY. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, Blue Sky, Threads, all that stuff. But I don't really talk about a ton of Marvel content. So maybe just hear back from us next week and you'll hear more of my love of Marvel.
Hey, man, I'm for it. I love it. I've been a Marvel fan since I was, man. I want to say 10, 11 years old. So this whole thing is great. And just, again, the fact, Jordan, I swear you're an old soul, man. You are an old, you look young. You got a baby face. But you are an old soul, man, and I thank God for it because it's funny. The first conversation we had, I think we were both on the show with Chris, and
Mhm.
you were like, "I love Marvel." And I think I remarked to you, "Did we just become best friends?" Like it was something like that. I was like, "Oh my god!" Because I think we talked about Marvel for like an hour after. Remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
we
fun.
talked about Marvel for like an hour, man. Everything, and I was like, "Oh
Mhm.
god!" So it's so much fun to just, hey man, finally realize this dream. But like I say, man,
Mhm.
you come here every Saturday. Jordan and I will be talking about Marvel, or most Saturdays. I mean, obviously there'll probably be some times when we can't, but hey man,
Mhm.
we'll do what we got to do to make this thing work and make this thing happen. Jordan, this was fun. Looking forward to watching episodes 3 and 4 and talking about it next week. And to everybody who joined us, appreciate it. Again, thank God for giving me breath in my body, letting me wake up. Thank you, Jesus. Last but not least, I want to thank Eric Parker, my brother, and Jack Spade. And of course, you can check us out always at 4MYATSPORTS1 on the YouTube. You can grab the link, like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends. And yeah, we will see you guys next week. Good night, everybody.